Reframing Mindset podcast, where I clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset podcast. My name is Concept. Sign of this episode is kind of for me, and I guess for you as well. Maybe like, I started the episode with some basic premise, like lifestyle inflation and all that stuff. But what I've actually realized is that the compound interest and stuff like that. With when I talk about simple, um, actually just executing the plan. When you actually have a simple plan, you basically instead of simply executing it, things just completely compounds until I reach a point where we're like, there's a point where I was legit at a low core point. Like legit at one poor point. I say, oh, they're celebrating. No. And it's like, yeah, there was a point where I was actually not didn't have all these stuff that I actually have. And when I actually got them, the time to maintain all those stuff is like is actually something like So there was that point in time when the PC what stopped working, and I said, okay, so give me time to go and do something else. I'm like, oh yeah, let me be more indus or be more, what do you call it, be more um be more creative in certain ways and finding ways to do stuff. But all of a sudden you start making income and all this stuff, and then they create you as a coming out and you're making so much income to the point like you always have to stop and be like, wow. You have things getting diverse, things getting diverse. I think like you'll be like, oh, you're rich and all these stuff. Yes, you're rich in a lot of ways. You become rich in a lot of ways to the point you can't even quantify it. Because what is that? You're used to being so poor in certain. You're used to being so lack of something that you would naturally someone just become able to be rich in something. That's how things can happen. Where you be like, oh, you naturally lack something so much that you naturally become rich in something. And it's like that's the level where you be like, oh, even in my period of down where things compound, where even in my down point, you find things. And it's like, that's a big level. Like no, I'm getting phone calls now, still to this day. So says like yeah, says like that's the thing. Still getting phone calls to this day, and it's like yeah, there's a praying people out there to tell you you're praying for something. Oh, pray to get a wake up, go get a job. Then this getting called to get a job. It's like oh, so it's like the level of you pray for something, you get it, then you're in the level of maintaining what you actually prayed for. That's the reality of what I'm actually doing now. It'd be like, oh, we actually was uh, um, praying. I was happening is that you actually go out and become what you want, and now you actually have to go out and actively maintain. You actually we call it micromanage. You wanted to do all these stuff yourself. But now you have to be like, okay, you have to start let off certain stuff. But at the same time, you actually want to do these stuff yourself. So that's the phase that I'm in now. I be like, yo, I actually came out and actually getting these stuff done. But now, maybe I have to actually stop getting these most of the stuff done. Usually like the idea of getting these stuff done myself. And it's like, but now you have to just basically just give it just become more lax and just give the fun part or the even the part that you yeah even the boring part, you get the love. That's the thing about coming from poor starts, poor starts. You get to love even the worst part of it. Now I'm out there so recording in a nice office chair. That's legit. That's legit. Actually, I started off with a phone, and it's like, oh, it's with a microphone and that stuff like that. But the thing is that one of the lessons is that you basically, when you actually become not not where you were, you're out there so 10 what do you call it? So boom, when you talk about bribing and stuff like that, it at this level, it's good to know where you're at with people. Where you be like, oh yeah, you maybe like that's the thing where I always talk about being clear, clear, clear. So at this point in time, one of the things I realize in business move fast. Business move fast and be like, oh, things becomes instantaneous. So what happens that you as a customer, oh yes, waiting, and then stuff becomes lax and stuff like that. I always have to I always have to be aware. I'm aware of where maybe like that, where I'm at with myself or why I'm doing stuff. And be like, yeah, the podcast was an opportunity for me to do stuff. I'm like, oh, but there was a low point. I'm like, yeah, the low point happened, and what happens that in the low point, yeah, so yeah, things went bad. And it's like then you reach a up point. And that the up point is where you're out there to get kinda lost. For me, you get lost in the sauce. You'll be like, oh, in a low point you're out there, so be more charitable. You'll be like, oh, you're giving away stuff and all this stuff. And then what is that? They come back again. And so things happen in cycling. Things happen in cycling. Everything happens in cycling. The same thing, bro. The same thing. But I say you're coming when you're coming from where at a humble start, certain stuff that you feel you'll be like, okay, boom. You naturally come and say, okay, oh, there's asking for money at this time. It's like, oh, you did get money from me this time. You get something else. Because what happens that there was a point in time I could even or well, I could have give you money. Now we give you something else. I got knowledge or something like that. And it's like, oh, you can with the money I give you last year or stuff like I give you in a time of abundance. No, you get knowledge. You get some knowledge. I'm like, oh, you can actually apply that and knowledge and stuff like that. Those are stuff that actually got me be like, oh, those things compound where be like, yeah, I actually go and actually created some reach a point. And it's like, I reach a point, but it's reach somewhere. Be like, oh, it's all the podcast for a reason, and the podcast reach a point, and now it's like, oh, we have real life stuff. Right? It's like, oh yeah, we still have family stuff and all these things. And, oh yeah, to go back and do this stuff as well. So that was the thing for me. Where be like, oh, things things don't everything is a record. Nothing is new under the sun. Everything comes back. You still have to go back in the backyard and clean up the backyard again after coming and clear up that stuff. It's just that from last year I wasn't as strong enough to clean it up. I was not that where I'm at now. So now I'm actually able to maybe attempt it better. It doesn't really change if I will take a longer time, but it take the same time or longer. I know from last year actually know what I'm doing now. It's like, oh, or just that you're gonna take the same time, or you're gonna take less. I'm going out there so smart. It's like, oh, compound interest, so go down and take me 30 odd days to do that. No, it take me like I said somebody else do that, and it's like, oh, it take me no, it's gonna take me half of the days, and then somebody come and do it in one day. And it's like, because what happens is that because I actually go and actually attempted it. So we actually attempted this stuff. So we actually get a result. So what happens that because and that thing will be like, oh lazy and stuff like that. Yeah. So sometimes even my laziest by me actively going out and doing something, naturally everybody out there so get to do get to actually push certain stuff. So that's the thing weird thing about this podcast phase, where be like, oh, I started in a humble state and it's like all these other stuff compound where be like and that's the thing where be like there's a point in time where we did have all these things we prayed for all these things that we didn't want. That's the reason for the podcast. There's a point in time we did have all these stuff, so that's the thing about the privilege and stuff like that. It's a bit like, oh my god. There's a point in time, I'm getting guest calling and stuff like that. There's a point in time, those same guests are certain guests that I actually wanted, and they have to come in online and all these stuff, and then now you have the same people now like coming and see them like, oh yeah. But what happens that I made the podcast for a certain reason, and it's like you actually had to be there to understand the reason. When you actually understand the reason, and be like, okay, yeah, not to be account. It be like, the podcast is different thing. And be like, oh, like giving knowledge in real life or stuff like that. The podcast is just a way to say, yo, is there stuff that actually, that's the thing when I reach this point. You have so much ideas that you basically don't are you at the point in time, like sometimes you actually listen to some stuff and be like, oh, at the point in time I tell you some ideas, and at the time I'm not reaching up our it be like people like, oh my god, yo, this have bright dreams or stuff like that. Yo, this have being people call it stupid or stuff like that. Oh, you're proclaiming in the future, like the degree. We're like, oh, the degree. We're like, oh, those stuff seem impossible or stuff like that. Yeah, it seemed impossible at the time because what was that? I'm coming from a place of shortage at the time, or a different. I am came from a different time. It's like, oh, so it's like, we know I'm here. It's like, oh, the same thing is happening again for me. It's just that I'm at a new level. Be like, oh, it's the same thing happening again. It's just that I'm at a new point in time. So I'm at a new fourth year for one or stuff like that. It's like nothing will change really. It's just that same principle. It's just a different place. We'll be like, okay, no, at this level, we'll be like, oh, there was a point in time I'm a short. I was at a shortage at certain stuff, and then no, and be like, okay, no, you're at a point where you be like, oh, you have so much money, bro. Like, legit, I'm walking down the street and be like, oh, I'm out this forgetting. Like, legit, it's just simple plain of fear, Like, there's a point in time where we didn't have the love, have, have the luxury of feeling simple fear and stuff like that. Now I'm at the point where I'm out there, so the simple fear, like legit. I'm out there so forgetting the simple money because what happens is that you're coming from such a point of not having it to having it that basically I know you're having it in so different ways. And I have to take time and be like, okay, so that's the reason where I be like, oh, the levels that you're out there are reaching, it take a good to have people that the great thing about when I try to start the podcast and having this stuff and be like, oh, name call and stuff like that. Grateful to be for me to be where I'm at, because at least even the name call and stuff like that, people know where they are with me. I don't have to actually waste my time and be like, okay, keeping track of where people are with me. People know where they are with me. That's the kind of good thing about being different. You actually save time in keeping you only have to focus on keeping track of yourself. So okay, so it's like, go and like keep track of the at this level. You keep track of yourself and doing yourself stuff right. So now at this level, I'm just focusing now that I have money and stuff like that or stuff like that, focusing on getting the simple things right. Where you'll be like, okay, I'm going out, pay my fee, I'm able to pay my fee or stuff like that. Acknowledge that I don't want fear and stuff. These are simple stuff where you'll be like, okay, yeah. These things now where it it's simple, but these stuff now that basically just come from us and be like, okay, yeah. Reach, and it's like, this is the you're growing up as this as a child, and as you see these things as a child, be like, okay, wash day in the family, and family come out and wash day, and the family and they come out and be like, oh, they wash, and it's like so many $100 coming out of jeans pants and stuff like that. These are stuff that happen to me, I'll be like, okay, yo, boom, I basically have the idea of going out and paying, say I'm going to this place and I have the simple money to go there and come back. And it's like, yo, legit just going out there and just to find the fear is a task. Is legit a task to out there to going out and find the fear. It's like, oh, those are simple. These are simple. And it's like, oh, then there you go out there and find realize you don't have the fear, boom. Go look in the pocket, your phone. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah. So that's the thing where be like at this level, the stuff are there, that's the thing where be like, oh, the stuff are there, you just you have to actually just go out and find it. That's the thing where be like, oh, the stuff are there now. We just have to go out and find it. Yeah. So that's things. To go out and actually find it and then actually just keep better track of it. So that's the level where I'm at now. Where be like, okay, I get the things that I actually was working for, now to actually stop and actually maintain them. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. Where be like, all those previous episodes was relevant to get you here, but now I have to just basically just stop, stop, and just acknowledge the fact that okay, yeah, yeah, all those reality was reality, and so I have to actually just stop and be like, okay, evaluate. This is the next. This is basically the episode where be like, yo, it's another evaluation. We made a lot of progress again, and we had to just stop and evaluate our position, and that's the thing now. Where be like, okay, the hurricane came, we passed over the hurricane. Now I'm basically trying to finish clearing up after the hurricane for where I'm at. Just finishing up that. And it's like, okay, yeah. Just simply finishing up that, just get that out of the way. Just get that out of the way. And stuff like that. And I said, a lot of things happened last year, and it's like, oh yeah, we made a lot of progress. Yeah, yeah. And it happened. Happen and go away. And it's like, oh yeah. So now we all just clean up the mess and stuff like that. And be like, yeah, that's the thing. I'll be like, yo, we did that. Yeah, I did. I'm not saying that ungratefully. I'm saying that gratefully in the sense that we actually did that. I'm actually in the position now where I actually can. I think now, even I'm in the position now where I can do it, those stuff. I can and then come in and people do it for me and stuff like that. If I even can do it, it's better than zero. It's better than zero because you never know when a person is unable to do that. I'm like, okay, now I can actually attempt to do it, and oh yeah, we can actually attempt to do it, and now we can actually just be like, yo. So that's the thing where we like the episode we talk about. Hey, don't forget the level that you were coming from, alright, because you never know when you actually go up to those levels. We thought this would be like, yo, I'm always living the high life. What happens that in the high life, what happens that in the high life, I was doing stuff, living in my time of abundance. So what this episode is basically now, I'm still in my time of abundance in certain ways. In certain ways. Then just basically have to take time to be like, okay, certain stuff that you will tendency for me to do, I'm not doing it because I have things in a different way now. If you get what I mean. You actually listening, you be like things change. Money change. Yeah. I have things like I call it stocks and all these stuff. All these stuff change. So it's like that's the thing like they call Bob Marley say my riches is life eternal. you know, my riches is basically different. Is it's hard to quantify. It's hard to quantify. Just the fact that I have the privilege now of out there to be crime, bro. That's a privilege I have. We out there's a crime, bro. Call me a crybaby every day, bro. That's basically I'm so soft, bro. That's privilege I have not to out there to be crying every day, bro. Every day, bro. Even my adult years, I'm out there crying, bro. For some reason. And I'm like, why you crying, bro? That's why I ask myself every day, bro. Why am I out there crying, bro? Cause, yeah. So that basically I think I'll be like, oh, the podcast is just this level for me was that. there was a time when I didn't have the things that I have. I know I'm get. Now we actually reaching a different. Our all right. This a different phase. It's a different phase. I'd be like, oh, I'd be like, I got this stuff. I know I'm actually in a new place. We're actually trying to maintain the stuff that I actually get. What happens that I was in my time of abundance. I know, there's a hear me. What do you call it? Reveling in my time of abundance. So now is the time, and that's the thing, the time we actually sit down and recoup and be like, okay, let me acknowledge where I'm at in my time. We call it time of abundance. Because the thing about it is that that's doing things like journaling and all those stuff. It's good to have those stuff because though your time of abundance is kind of weird. Where be like, yo, right now I actually feel not like I'll go on and I have cash, cash, raw cash where I can actually go and spend money and stuff like that. No, raw cash. What I also have now is with me by you will actually listen to this. I have the skill now to actually go out on the road and have a license to drive. Those stuff are unquantifiable kind of privileges that I've actually gained compound just by me taking my time doing stuff. And naturally, that thing, I'm naturally going through this low point and be like, I naturally accrued all these wealth and be like, and people just going on and be like, oh, wallowing myself. But it's like these stuff are real. Where be like, oh, I compound compound interest is that thing where be like, oh, there's a point in time where I didn't have these stuff and I'm getting them. We out there to get them. It's like, so it's like I have to keep on getting them. And it's like, you have to be like, oh, you out there to be like, oh, in a helpful state. Sometimes be like, oh yeah, this is the point in time. Be like, oh, I actually was, or I was out there so praying, or I got the stuff that I was out there working for, and because I actually put in the work to get them, I'm living off the fat off it, indirectly or directly. So that's the reality of stuff. Where be like, this is the point of episode. Be like, oh, indirectly or directly. Even my and that's the thing I will put in the work and compound. Even my floppy days, I'm out there so perform, and it's like, yeah. So it's like, oh wow, that's actually the stuff. So what happens is that this is the level where be like, oh, you out there so privilege and you have, you go to have people, you wish you have people to kind of bring you back down to earth. You wish no matter how you out there so trying and be like, oh yeah, you out there so have people try to bring you back down to earth. You out there so naturally out there so putting in the work. You out there so naturally putting in the work so you will naturally out there so progress. So this is just a a new level of being. Of reminding yourself that okay, there was a time that there was a reason why actually it was, there was a time that we actually have these. Or what happened? There was a phase, actually part of phase. I talk about a partying phase and stuff like that, or all these phases. And it's just a new phase now. We actually have an office chair doing stuff. And it's like these new levels are new different stuff. You know, it's or it's a new phase of the same thing. New phase of the same thing. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I will say something today. Or if I say something today, I make complete sense. But I actually execute. I'll be like, oh yeah, yeah. But no, it's actually not relevant anymore. Or it's not relevant for me anymore. No, I'd be like, why? Yeah, thing like, oh, we regurgitate this stuff. We're basically living what I'm saying. You're basically out there seeing the scene. Some of the episodes now. So back in the days now, episode previous, it was out there so telling you how I got the stuff I got. Now it's basically I'm out there so living and then basically if I'm coming back and telling you. what I actually did, and that's actually getting harder. So, yeah, that's basically it. Where be like, oh, I actually have to go and look, I was always doing the podcast, couldn't make the money wasn't coming in, so I'd actually go make the money and stuff like that, get the knowledge, sit down and learn and learn. No, actually, I learn these stuff. Actually, I learn these stuff now, and what happens that oh, I can apply these stuff to the podcast now to make money. It's like it was actually, and it's like those are that's the phase that I'm now. And like yo, this so getting this stuff that yo, this we actually getting this stuff, actually getting this stuff that we actually work for, and it's like well, we actually doing it. Yeah, so that's basically it. We'll be like, oh, we're actually getting this stuff that actually work for us. I'm sitting down and just basically doing these stuff, waking up and be like, oh, I'm waking up in my fourth year of a what you call it a home owner, bro. I'm always trying to push myself to actually try to keep this home, bro. I make it better, bro. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. And why is that? And why is that? Because sometimes you need people coming like, oh, show where you brought from. Sometimes we don't want to go back where we're coming from. Those are the things where be like, yeah, we don't want to go back to where we're coming from. Like, even to actually go back and experience it, I go back and be like, yeah, yeah. That's the reason why sometimes you hear some stuff and I be like, yeah. Actually, I've acknowledged those some people say, yeah, we actually do. No, even in my sad state now, I there is a reason why I still to this day we truly do not want to go back where we're coming from. Like, so that's the reason why even this time there's some reason why we truly do not want to go back where we're coming from. And it's like, yeah, there was a pandemic or stuff like that and all these stuff. Sometimes I actually forgot that happened. In 2025, sometimes we actually forgot that happened because what? There so was at a very low point that we genuinely did not want to go back where we're coming from. Like, those are the stuff we're like, yeah. But at the same time, we're so blessed that we were putting in the work that things are compounded now that, oh, I say, big shout, blessings after blessings, bro. Yeah, there's a blessings after blessings, bro. Yeah, that's the thing we're actually putting the work. So it's getting blessings after blessings. But sometimes I actually do not want to go back where you're coming from. Alright, it's like alright, sure where you brought it from and all these stuff. Yeah, yeah. Those are stuff where be like the lessons that I actually learned. Code don't use it, know the use of it still before you use it. All those things back in the days, after I learned them, I'm old enough to say, yeah, we actually don't want to be those persons that be like, yeah, we lose it till and then we actually want to know how to use it. Those are stuff where be like, yeah, actually to be on the right side of prevention is better than cure. That's basically the thing. Where be like, yeah, prevention is better than cure. So that's basically the thing now. Where be like, oh, I pass a phase now in life. I actually attain this stuff now. And it's like, actually attain this stuff. The excitement of, and that's the thing about, I talk about career as a luxury. There was a point in time that we didn't have the stuff that I'm out there. So get it. And it's like, no, I'm getting it. And oh dear, so I was grateful for it the first time, but now it becomes a habit. Somewhat, it becomes a habit. And like, oh yeah, yeah, it becomes because of things. Like, actually, I was putting in the work somewhat. It was always actually putting the work somewhat to actually get get the reward for all those years I put in the work. And it's like, yeah, sometimes be like, yeah, yeah. But that with everything in life, there was a point in time that the first time, like, the first time for everything. There was the excitement of the first time. And I think I grew up on YouTube, I watch YouTube and stuff. I'd be like, oh, first time, this, and there was a point in that we didn't have the stuff that we actually getting. Now we're getting it normally. And it's like, ah, ah, it's hard. It's hard to actually, we actually, show we're background. There was a point in time that we didn't have these stuff. So that we actually have to remember, it's good to remember that we actually didn't have these stuff just to just to say, yeah, we don't want to go back to the days that we didn't have those stuff. We don't want to go back to that. So that even if it means death, and that's thing, right? Means death to say, yeah, we're gonna die in this thing. Sometimes be like, yeah, you have to actually go that far to say, yeah, we actually do not want to go back to those days. So that's the thing about the compound interest and stuff like that. You listen to the podcast, and the podcast is there to give you all those episodes to show you that it took a while to actually reach this level. And even me now forgot that it actually took a while to reach this level. And I'm out there, so I'm be like, oh, I'm out there, so it's getting the praise. You're getting the praise and be like, oh yeah, we actually took a while to reach this level. Yeah, we actually got the praise and stuff like that. But yo, when I was in the same thing, with the people that assisted me getting the guests and all these stuff like that. Those were days, farming years of my journey. But ideally, we don't want to go back to those days. Those days are over, and it's like we acknowledge the face in a new way. It's like, oh yeah, there's a point in time that we didn't have what you call it, C cards, credit card, and we never used to have money. We were so hungry and all this stuff. Yeah, yeah. It's good to acknowledge those stuff. It can go back to you. That's the thing about actually watching YouTube and stuff like that. I'm a favorite artist. I have things like Jeezy and stuff like that. And go back and listen to his music and all this. All the people that you try bash or like Drake and stuff like that. Could actually go back and listen to his music and be like, oh my god, released 14 years ago and stuff like that. And be like, yeah, we still hate it. We still the biggest hater or stuff like that. But that was 14 years ago. You don't want to go back to where it was 14 years ago. And it's like, but it's good to acknowledge that we're still out there. So still out there. So the same. But we don't want that to stay. We don't want to go back to where it was 14 years ago. It's good to acknowledge 14 years ago we were still haters, bro. Are still at the haters, but you know, even the haters have to actually say, oh yeah, we actually have to upgrade. So when we actually put in the work upgrade, we actually have haters upgrade and say, yeah. We actually have we have a different form of hating now. So it's like that's the thing. Like, we actually have reached a new level. So it's like, those even so that's the thing where like even this year in 2025, yeah, the sad things that are the unfortunate stuff, the unforeseen things that happen is still better to be I'm here. It's still better for me to be here than to where I than to where I'm coming from. That's the thing. We'll be like, oh yeah, we actually 10 times 10. Because right now I'm out there, so and that's the thing. We'll be like, oh yeah, we actually way better than before. Yeah. Not where we're coming from. That's the thing that's you have to have actual that's the thing, you have actual people that actually was there to say yeah, you're actually coming from a place. So what will happen is that at this level of your employment journey and stuff like that. So boom, I have experience. That's the thing. I have experience and stuff like that. No, plus a degree and all this stuff. So I actually can get a work or stuff like that. I think I can actually, if I go now, if you by this episode, I even do something like retirement after that. Kind of stopped actually. Maintain the level. Because that's the thing, that's the point of this episode to show that okay, people that see you and that's thing how this someone say people see you reach a certain level and it's like, you see feel you out there so slacking or out there so stop at a certain level. Stop at a certain level to say, yeah. Or neglecting the level, be like, oh my god, boom, out there so missing all this stuff like that and all these things. Or be like, okay, you out there so see me wait, proclaiming stuff. Or waiting. We out there so coming on, that thing will be like, oh, I'm actually coming from a place that, or what happens that there was stuff that I could actually do, or stuff, blessings, or stuff that I could do last year. Or the thing about getting older, stuff like you do stuff each year and it changes. So it's like all this excitement that I have last year, like for example, boom, getting Easter bun and all these stuff excitement. I didn't get any of that last this year. April went away and I actually did get any of that this year, bro. But I got something different. I got something different for this year. I got this something for this. And this year, you hear me talking about like that. You hear me talking about Sabbath, bro. You hear me talking about Sabbath, bro. Like, yeah, yeah. So it's like, that's the thing. I'll be like, yo, sometimes the blessings that they get is a different kind of blessings, bro. But what happens that now I actually sit down, I actually go out and reap the blessings. Like I'm out there, so I have to go and reap the harvest from the farming stuff. That's actually the goal. So that's the reason why I'm like, okay, yeah, we actually have to go. But at the same time, actually record. The reason why I'm recording these stuff now, why I'm out there to recording this stuff, because when I'm out there to doing this stuff, there's someone out there in the streets, bro, or somewhere out there, going to be asking the same questions, bro. The same questions, the same thing that I actually see me out there to live it. See me out there to live it, but at the same time, I don't have the time to out there to tell you that, these are the stuff that I actually doing. These are the stuff that I actually have to go and do to get these stuff. So these are the podcast stuff to tell you that. Oh, I can get you this far. I'm out there, so- but that's after I do these stuff that I'm out there so doing in real life. But yo, but at the same time, you're going to see me out there so ask the same question that you're gonna hear a couple times later. Couple times later, I'm like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we actually had to do this. You're gonna see me out there so doing questioning the same thing that I'm out there so doing. You're always going out and questioning the same thing that we actually out there so doing. And be like, oh yeah, but we actually had to do it be- so that you can actually go out and critique. I actually have to do it. In the same in the moment, the answer that you got at the time was the answer that you got. So at this, but at the time, I don't have the time to do this. So what I that's the thing where I have sometimes, oh, I like to explain stuff. I read for the podcast. We like to explain a lot of stuff or stuff like that. But people don't have the time to do this to listen to me. And stuff like that. But yeah, that's that point in time where I actually talk about the random stuff. And that's read for the podcast, about these random stuff. So you see me out there ask the same question, bro, and all these stuff. I will be giving you all these answers. I'll be out there giving you all these answers. But what will happen is that you have this various audience that would actually go out there and be like, oh my god, I'm so interested in actually hearing this stuff in real life. And then you have the other people out there that just want the surface level stuff. That want the surface level stuff and stuff like that. So sometimes I actually be like, okay, yeah, if you want actually the surface level stuff, you actually would not get that from me. So that's thing I'd be like, oh, the basic level of stuff. I'd be like, the basic level of stuff I actually lived it. Actually lived it. So that's thing be like some part of the podcast is telling you what I live. And then this part of the podcast is me living certain stuff and then telling you the lessons after. There's a point where you'll be like, oh, you don't hear no episodes from me from for certain days for so many years. Or so many days ago and you don't hear an episode from me, then boom bang prep for years some episodes. And be like, what means that I was in an uncertain circumstance where be like, oh yeah, it was either yeah, we may not able to live to see what we all this rap. Listen, you always live to see the thing that I was talking about. To know that there's a live, there's a listen from you actually listen. There's a realize that I actually live those. I actually live those to be like, okay, we actually don't want to go back there anymore. So to the people that actually was in the experience and stuff like that, be like, yeah, they we actually I actually lived that. So it's like because we actually lived that there are certain lessons in those times that I actually lived. Make me realize that we don't want to go back to where we were. They no what and that's the thing where we be like, oh, you got this that there's a reason why even those lessons there's actually a reason why either I want to go back to that place or why we don't want to go back to that place. There's a lesson, but in the moment we don't have the time to actually tell you why. Tell you why. We'll be like, oh yeah, stuff like that. So that's the thing where we be like, oh. So that's basically I think for this episode we'll be like, this episode is basically I say, I actually reach a new level of of blessings. I just that we just need to take time to actually uh new level in my personal journey. It's like, oh, I take time to actually just remember that. And I'm still out there so making mistakes, just like everything else, making mistakes, making mistakes. But I actually reach and indirectly I actually reached a level that I was actually working towards. Indirectly. All the bruises and stuff like that. I actually reached a level that I was always attaining. So I'm out there to actually have to secure those stuff. I have to basically out there to secure this stuff before I'm out there. So that's basically the thing. That's basically the base. I guess in all those rambling, the basic essence of this episode is that there's a point in time in your abundance or stuff, the abundance journey. You have to secure the things that you were always working for. So that's the thing will be like, oh, you're reaping in the opportunity now, like boom, I'm out there so reaping in the ability I could get money to out there to do something like attempt a driving lesson or stuff like that. I have to actually secure those funds, secure those stuff, and in those times secure those stuff, securing those stuff, people are like, oh my god, I've seen for years and stuff like that, all these stuff. Oh yes, I have to actually secure the stuff. I was out there, so there was a point I was out there, so you might see me one time in the information phase. Where I'm out there trying to get the information and stuff like that. Then for years you don't see me. Alright, for a certain time you don't see me. You see me. What happens is that you actually see me in the execution phase. You see me out there executing the things that are out there. So because what happens that the opportunity come to actually come and do the stuff that we always executing. So it's like, okay, yeah. So I was like, oh, I proclaim this stuff. Then what happens that oh, this executing. So it's like, yeah. So what happens is that in the executing, things are uncertain. Things are uncertain. You don't know if you're gonna get it or not. So you have to be focused to actually be able to say, yeah. When we secure it, when we actually secure it, we can laugh and talk about it later. We can laugh and talk about it later. But at the same time, we had to actually secure this stuff. Just like me recording the episode before and all these stuff. Some of these lessons out there are stuff that I was live, but I don't have the time to sit down and write it or stuff like that. Or even the people that was living there have do experience it. They even have the time to write down those lessons to say, yeah, we don't want this to happen again. We don't want this to happen. So somebody had to live to tell the tale to say, yeah, we experienced this so that we actually don't want to go back there So that's basically the thing for the episode. So the thing about it is that one of the better blessings is that boom, way better internet and stuff like that. Way better internet, way better than all these stuff. So you have to listen to the podcast, all these things. There was points in time where they have all those blessings. So what happens is that I'm always trying to secure and maintain them current better. Yeah, better and stuff like that. All these stuff that was it. So doing it and all these stuff. So you may not see me always giving you tangible money and all these stuff. Always giving you tangible money. Every time beg me for money. But I'm securing it in different ways. Like there's luxury of stuff that, you know, that yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because what happens, I'm trying to secure what I know I can try to secure. I don't know about you. I just can give you my experience and all those stuff to say, yeah. But those are that's basically this weird phase of the podcast episode or stuff like that. Where happens that yes, I actually made the goals before I know I'm actually securing all the goals. Like, I'm actually out there, so in the process of actually securing all the goals. I just be like, oh yeah, no, I'm actually securing the goals, and I'll be like, what's the point? No, that actually started it. But there was a reason why we started. But yeah, I just take our time to take the time to say, yeah, we actually did have these stuff before. So that's basically it for this episode. Thank you for listening and look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.